Chapter 8 Two Kings. After a few days worth of travel, you come across the capital city of the Falling Moon Kingdom. You were summoned here by the king specifically, as that you are the only survivor of a incredibly brutal attack. The knowledge that you gained by being there and just who you are as a person by being alive is hugely paramount to just what's going on. So you're really expecting to come in and talk about what you saw there and what you did. How did the Deer Squad come back to find us? They came back because they went to drop off the painting from like 4 times ago that you guys got. And you were supposed to drop it off as like basically propaganda to say, come move to the Falling Kingdom. Since that had to be done right then and you needed to do some undercover work, you were left behind. Then they came back and then the city was basically leveled. Yeah, it was the squirrel painting episode. The human thing was just a dream. Yeah, that was just a nightmare. Anyway, the rest of the crew makes their way to go ahead and station the tank outside the city limits. It's a little bit messed up to bring a tank inside the city limits, so you're left to just sort of wander towards the castle. They were not invited. Exclusively Bree was invited to the Falling Moon Kingdom's castle, which if you see there, it's the bit with the inner wall. That building there, the deer was not invited. Yeah, you don't generally put the tank into the town as well. Yeah. After a bit of, work trying to figure out where you even need to go, you eventually find the doorway to the castle and are, able to get to the front door. So we're left to wander around for a bit. You're pretty much needing to go like straight there. The king summoned you. You eventually are led inside the interior walls and are brought in front of the main castle doors. On the side of the building here, just in case if you forgot about the little intro thing I did, the banner on the left represents the Falling Moon Kingdom, whereas the banner on the right represents the Council, which is sort of like a United Nations for the mice, having elements of each of the different kingdoms represented in the flag as sort of a combination thing. There's really not much else to do aside from to walk up to the door and knock on it. So you do. And it opens. A subtle knock on the door has a very sharply dressed mouse butler open the door. He says, you must be Bree. Let me just have you follow me. Currently, the king is in council with the king of the sanguinary line. If you'll just follow me. With that, you begin following the mouse butler down the hallway towards the king's throne room. So I think if I've heard correctly, you are not you have no official training. You have no understanding on how to act in front of nobles. Do I have that correct? If that's the case, do not look them in the eye. Always make sure you bow or curtsy, your choice. Do not address them as anything other than sir. Make sure that you are always polite. The king of the sanguinary line has a bit of a hot streak. Please try and avoid making him mad. He had his last, he had an unfortunate person executed recently, and I do not think that it would be a great idea to just make him mad. So if you don't mind, please just stay calm and report what you're supposed to. The large doors to the throne room open, and you are led inside. Inside the throne room, there are 4 people, 2 armed guards who are at attention but do not appear to be considering this a threat and are not moving as if there is any threat, and 2 other individuals, both of which you assume to be the kings. The king of the Falling Moon Kingdom, who is sitting on the throne far back of the screen there, is King Peter. You know this from basic education and just, you hear these things. King Ava stands in front of you with their back turned to you. You spend some time waiting for them to address you. It seems like that there's a bit of a heated conversation going on. The King Ava sanguinary line, they always take the name of the country they're from, seems to be upset, generally speaking, with King Peter. King Peter, however, jumps up from his throne and walks up towards both of you on the carpet and addresses you directly, where you take a quick bow and say, "Poggers crowns, my lieges." There's a bit of a moment of silence while neither of them know exactly how to address that. You must be Bree. I am King Peter. Of course you know this. We hear that you've had some news for us from the St. Gregory's place. Is that correct? Yes. Everyone died except me, and, everyone who we were able to evacuate. The pirates set bears loose upon the city. The King Peter sort of nods solemnly while there's a quick turn as King Ava looks you and then directly strikes you in the face, just like, "That is sir to you! Do you know who you're speaking to? This is the sort of... These are your soldiers? No wonder they all died. Is this the sort of thing that you do here? If you're going to depend on the triumvirate, and I'm going to call it that because your space in this community will not be long if this is how you treat it, I expect that you start training your soldiers better than this." The fierce red eyes and white fur of King Ava blaze as he just absolutely goes the fuck off. I expected that you would be maybe not quite cultured, but if you want this soldier to start helping us, start acting like we are going to be able to deal with the pirates, then you need to start training them better. And then this one needs to become... You want to act like a hero? Be one. They storm out of the room, leaving you and King Peter to just stand there in silence for a minute. King Peter makes absolutely no, gesture that anything out of the ordinary happened, and neither do the guards. King Peter just turns around and goes and sits back down on the throne. I think he likes you, honestly, if I can be quite frank. I know you perhaps haven't met with him before, but as far as King Ava's behavior goes, they were quite polite today. I think that that is probably a very good suggestion. I'm sorry to hear what's happened, but immediately start crying. Crying can be a free action. They aren't related. Yeah, they're from completely different kingdoms. They're both different kings. Why did they slap us again? For being insolent and not using the term sir, and for being weak and not killing all the pirates yourself. You go on to say, there was no support in the lower lines. Those cities didn't go down out of laziness. We had no support. King Peter sighs and nods his head. I'm aware of the situation, and the council is not being as forthcoming with the resources as we need. We're actually going to be having a discussion about it fairly soon in the council in order to hopefully amend these issues. The simple fact of the matter is the Falling Moon Kingdom does not have the soldiers to garrison all of the cities in the countryside. We're hoping that we can do something by increasing our alliance with the Sanguinary line specifically in order to bolster our soldiers. I know this is probably not the answer that you're looking for, but politics are very difficult, I assure you. My face hurts, sir. He nods and then completely ignores that. You say, sir, your brother seems to lack respect for soldiers who saw actual combat. We're not related, and they prefer to go to war themselves. They don't particularly like that I sit on my throne, but brother in kingship? Okay. It's a well-known fact that the king of the Sanguinary line prefers to actually lead from the front rather than not. Tell you what, I think we could probably use a little bit of help with the public image of our soldiers. Everyone thinks that the soldiers are just here to cause violence and fight wars. Soldiers are protectors. Soldiers are people of the people. The entire reason you exist, and we thank you for your service, is to help the community at large. I'm going to call you back in for when we have our discussion about the pirates with the council. It's important to know exactly what happened there, and it is good to hear these things, and I'm sorry that they've happened. Tell you what, go out to the city streets and do as much good as you can, and you'll be, we'll track you down and bring you into the council's meeting for later. How does that sound? It was phrased as a question, but is definitely a command. With that, he gestures for you to be dismissed and are led once again outside of the castle out onto the streets. You say yes sir and bow on the way out. You stand out on the streets. For a kid who grew up in the middle of nowhere, this city is massive. You try and do your best to act like you blend in here and like that you have always lived here, but everything is absolutely massive. And just the idea that they've paved every single road when the road you grew up on was just dirt, and the city square didn't even have tiling is masterful to you. There is massive traffic going down this main road here. People riding by on beetles, carts drawn by Hercules beetles, people just hustling and bustling, trying to get to their job, trying to get to the shops, trying to do what they need to in order to just go about their days. There's an elderly woman who's just staring across the street, trying to figure out how she's going to cross. And you are free to left to your own devices to do whatever you feel like doing. Fight the road for getting in the old lady's way. Crying as our default state. You did say you have post-traumatic stress disorder, which, yeah, you did kill a guy, and also you did see, like, a bunch of people dying. So, cry is not in the top half of these, so I'm going to assume that, like, you're not actively crying while going, excuse me, ma'am, do you need help crossing the street? Instead, you just, you're being strong, and you say, excuse me, ma'am, do you need help crossing the street? She nods, and you take her hand as you make sure that she safely gets across the street and stop all the beetles that are coming down the street in order to make sure that she's, nice and safe. You successfully get her across the street, and she smiles and waves, and then goes along with her day. She isn't interested in hanging out with you to get juicy gossip. Check and see if anything was stolen. No, she was just an old lady. No tricks, just a little old lady that needed help crossing the street. You decide to go and find a post office to go ahead and write back, home. Sit down at the post office and write a letter out to your parents. Dear Mom and Dad, it sucks out here. I still don't know how my siblings are. I got to meet a king. I'm going to continue to, keep an eye out to see if I can find any of my siblings. I hope to find them soon. I hope all is well with you. Love, Bree. Pet Ringo for me. You send that one off, and little hearts. Yes. How do you want to spend the rest of your day? Find a dark alley to do stuff in. You're dressed up like a cop because you are a cop, army soldier, basically. But yes, go find some people that you can do shady things with. They'll trust you, I'm sure. I'm off duty. How do you do, fellow criminals? I, too, have murdered. You decide to go and find an army office to track down some of your siblings. Just sort of, see if you can find any information about where they might be. Without really much information to go on, no one at the local office was able to really do you much service or give you much help. You go and get Abe and Greg to help you out with what you decided to, do, continue being a good bean for the king, as this other vote mentions. And just spends the next few hours just going around town doing good deeds. you know, helping old ladies across streets like you did, helping people carry packages, getting balloons out of dandelions, that sort of thing. After a while, it seems like the whole day's gone by. There's a bit of commotion in the street, and you hear something massive rolling down the street. As you climb down from the dandelion, you notice one of the dignitaries from the Octopus Covenant rolling down the street, being pulled along by bounded and blinded prisoners. And it looks like he's on his way to the council meeting. Looks like you probably aren't doing the meeting just about what's been going on with the pirates and such. There'll also be some discussions about the incorporation of perhaps the Octopus Covenant and the Merchant Crow Association. But yeah, unfortunately, because of the amount of detail I did on these drawings, that's pretty much what I've got for you guys. But I hope you enjoyed this all the same. We'll follow up with the meeting in the next session.